Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our Skeletal System test review, I guess, if you want to call it, or going over the test. I put together 40 questions, and, these are different. This is not the test that I would normally have given you in class, but, whatever. We did the best we could. And it was a couple of tricks. So let's go over it here just so you can kind of see what you're up against for the coming tests. And once again, it would be very important if you did this by yourself. Do not share your answers. Nobody wins that way, and then everything becomes a total waste of time. So if you can, do your own work. So usually I would have asked this as a free response question, but, well, that was too much of a pain in the neck this time. So let's just do multiples. And the answer there, hopefully you picked, was E, all of them. Which of the following are not part of the skeletal system? And that would be tendons, because they are attached to muscles, which you will do on your next test. The shaft, so you had the nubby little end and then the long skinny part. The shaft is called the diaphysis. The nubby end is called the epiphysis. An adult skeleton, if you added up the two numbers I gave you, the 126 and the 80, you should have come up with 206. Irregular is kind of a funny shaped bone, and the irregular ones we talked about were your vertebrae, the ones in your back. The carpal bones are in your hand, and we said those guys are your short bones. Your ribs are, well, they are flat and curved, so they're called flat bones. Now this here, remember the three annoying O words, osteoblast, osteoclast, and osteocyte. Osteoclasts came in and cleaned up the scraps, and they did that by using their protein digesting enzymes to, in essence, clean up the scraps. If you are an osteocyte, you are in essence now a bona fide bone cell. So if you're a bona fide bone cell, that means you are ready to be bone. You are a mature bone cell. The outer protective layer, we kind of called it the wrapper. That was the periosteum. Now this one here, a lot of people had trouble with this, but if you looked at the diagram in your notes, the outer layer here, this outer layer, which is where 1 is pointing to, that's your compact bone. This kind of one here, you all got that one, right? That looks like a sponge, so that's your spongy bone. Now, I kind of went back and I took this, so 6 and 7, I took these together. I would have taken those as your Havasian canals. But 8 was pointing specifically to these guys right there, so that's your blood vessels. So your blood vessels should have been 8. Your Havasian canals I would have taken as 6 or 7. Once again, not so great. Spongy bone is 5, and compact bone, I don't know where my line went, but your compact bone was 1. They're on the outside edges. That's where you get your strength. So again, some of these diagrams here are not going to be exactly the same because I don't want to use my tests for the future on this. So, use the internet or use your notes, but do not use each other. The most abundant mineral, pretty much everybody got this, calcium. So I would drink milk to keep our bones strong. This one here, some people put exposed. I never said that, so that doesn't count. This is going to be called a compound fracture. So if that was your skin, and let's say that was your arm bone that's now broken out of your skin, you can now see bone. If you can see bone, that's compact. And remember, I told you I was only going to ask you about the two types of fractures. And the other time I talked about was found in kids, and that was known as a green stick fracture. The condition in which bones become riddled with holes, they literally look like Swiss cheese. That's called osteoporosis. Which of the following was true? Not true. Not true regarding the axial skeleton. And the axial skeleton does not have the girdles. These are part of your appendicular skeleton. Which of the following is a function of the axial skeleton? Well, good news is they're all functions. They're going to help you move your which of the following? Yeah, that's right. Okay, they're going to provide attachment for muscles to help move your appendicular skeleton. Correct. So you're going to be able to move your body. They're going to have your head, neck, and trunk. They're going to be involved in breathing. It's underneath in your lungs, and they provide protection for your brain and spinal cord. So they're all right. So that was a tricky one, but most people got that one right. Now this one here is where lots of people got this one wrong. Lots and lots and lots. You got to read this one super carefully. Mismatched. Everybody fell for E. But here's the problem. The thoracic cage, which is your lungs, does not include that. That is your collarbone. Your collarbone does not count. So pretty crummy. So your vertebral column is we talked about that early on. We know that we have our bones of the skull area. We have our cranium up there. And obviously there's some are mismatched. There is some that are mismatched. So tricky. The air-filled chambers are known as sinuses. The hyoid bone is kind of in your neck. Your tongue attaches to it. It is above your larynx. It does not join with any other bones. Bunch of answers there are correct. The sinuses, now this one here is tricky. You gotta be careful. Everyone's like, all right, yeah, they do that. That's cool. Oh, or you might have fell for that. Yeah, that's cool. Or if you read choice E, they do both. Make it lighter and produce mucus. So remember, read all of the choices. The first cervical vertebrae, that's the one on the top, holds up your head, called the atlas. The thoracic section has 12 vertebrae, because your thoracic T1 through T12. Your true ribs here, I took 2 answers on this, so technically nobody would have picked up B, so that's why I didn't count that one. But most of you picked A, which is great, but the answer there is actually E. But again, they're both right, so I took both of them on that. The ribs that have no attachment to the sternum, ribs 11 and 12 are called floating ribs. So 8 to 12 are called false ribs, which is fine, but they do, yeah, this one's kind of crappy too, but E's the answer there. Cranium, don't want to take D on that one. Now, if you watch this video and you put D for 28, Oh, I see why E is right, because see how those 2 choices, the whole and there, oh man, these are tricky questions, so I see why you may have fallen for that. Okay, cranium, 1. Radius, that's the one that's on top by your thumb. See that one that goes right to your thumb? That's 4. And the femur is in your leg. That's 6. Your fibula is this little quitter kind of guy right in the back there, not the big one in your leg. 7. Clavicle is this guy right there. That's not part of your axial skeleton. Your ribs, I thought that was an easy one. 10, I almost never got that one right. And your tibia is this guy right there. That sort of kind of looks like the letter T. So the bone labeling was good. Most people got full credit on that. All right, 5 more to go. The fingers are called phalanges. The longest and heaviest bone in the body, that's in your leg, it's your femur. The surface of articular cartilage, so that's going to be, let's say that's your bone, and that's the nubby end of your bone there. I told you that has a job, and it's to reduce friction. So if you're going to reduce friction, which of those choices would be good for reducing friction? And it would be slick and smooth. Your ankle joint is a hinge joint. And finally, which of the following is an example of a ball and socket, which is your most flexible? And your most flexible is going to be either in your shoulder or your hip, but hip's not a choice. So shoulder it is. So there's your answers. So if I made a mistake, just do me a favor, shoot me back a remind. But I think I did a pretty careful job on that. So you got your muscle system test was given out, and do your thing. Talk to you guys soon.